The Canucks once again make a goalie switcheroo with Abbotsford in preparation for Tuesday's clash with the Flames, and the scenes from Monday's practice gave lots to talk about and will inform the Canucks game plan for Tuesday night. We're going to be breaking down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any and all updates surrounding the Canucks as we head into a clash with the Calgary Flames on Tuesday night. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is goalie switcheroo. So it was announced today from General Manager Patrik Allvin that goalie Ty Young has been assigned to Abbotsford and goalie Artur Silovs has been recalled from Abbotsford. This was just partially a formality, as many people assumed that it was just to get Artur Silovs some playing time, and he did get one game in Abbotsford before being recalled back to Vancouver. And playing in there was for one reason only, and that was for game time. Prior to playing 8:55 in the third period on Saturday night against the Edmonton Oilers in a blowout, and his last time playing was a loss to New Jersey Devils on October 30th, so it made sense to just send him down just to get some playing time, get some confidence under him. And when you look at the stats compared to Kevin Lankinen, he needs the confidence. The numbers speak for itself as far as what Lankinen has been able to do versus Silovs. I know Silovs' last loss against the Devils, that wasn't entirely his fault. The forwards and the defensemen kind of left him out to dry, as Tyler Myers even said in his post-game interview that they just left Artie out to dry. And that has been the case for a few games, but those early games at the start of the season were definitely on Silovs a little bit, where shots through traffic and shots just from a distance were able to beat him, and that was kind of how teams kind of started to figure him out a little bit. They had a little bit more game tape on him, whereas last playoffs he kind of just burst onto the scene. Teams didn't know what to do about him or how to game plan for him. Now, after seeing a postseason with him, Edmonton kind of figured it out in last postseason, and now teams have kind of figured it out of how to beat him. But getting him back in Abbotsford for one more game just seemed like a smart move for Patrik Allvin to do, just because they're not going to waste a potential another loss by just trying to get his confidence back. You send him down to Abbotsford, get that confidence going again so that he is able to come back into the NHL fully confident and ready to go, and it seems like he is ready to go. He spoke after practice saying that he just has to be ready for his opportunity whenever it comes. And Artur Silovs was back on the ice in Vancouver a day after playing in Abbotsford, and he was on practice ice on Monday. And Silovs became the fifth player on the roster to appear on both the NHL and the AHL Canucks already this season. And when he suits up on Tuesday, Lekkerimaki will be the sixth, along with Arshdeep Bains, Atu Ratu, Niels Ahmann, and Eric Branstrom, who the latter of which has been kind of a shining spot of these prospects that have been brought up from Abbotsford to play on this Canucks roster. Eric Branstrom has been probably the third best defenseman on this team this season. He's been really solid and can't wait to see what he does more. But what do you guys think about Silovs being called up? Do you guys give him the start, or do you give Lankinen the start heading into Calgary? Love to hear you guys have to say, but that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is scenes from Monday practice. So the first one that we're going to dive into is obviously the practice lines and the pairings. You see there the first pairing, the second day in a row that Lekkerimaki is in the top six. Then you have Pettersson, DeBrusk, and Garland. Maybe that gets something going for this game. Then you have Heinen, Blueger, and Sherwood, who Kiefer Sherwood, he has just been a joy to watch this entire season. Every time you watch him on the ice, he's just going to he just hits a guy who either has the puck or just got rid of the puck. And it's just awesome to watch him just be a bull in a china shop, where it's just super entertaining and it's hilarious to watch. Even that Edmonton game where we got absolutely boat raced, he was still one of the shining spots of that game. And then you have there with Susie and Myers, which we're going to get into a stat that concerns them a little bit later in this video, just as a kind of like an add-on. But then you have Branstrom and Desharnais, who they were pretty solid last game. I know it was a game where we got absolutely boat raced. We got beaten down. But Desharnais and Branstrom are proving to be a solid pairing. And of course, you got Hughes and Hronek. So it's going to be interesting to see not only how Lekkerimaki does, but also with Pettersson, Garland, and DeBrusk to see what they can get going. I know Connor Garland and Pettersson have been playing pretty decently this season. Danton Heinen has also been solid. Can't go without mentioning him. And then you have Dakota Joshua, of course, on the fourth line. We cannot forget about him. Hopefully he is finally making his return. But again, that could have been just a formality, and we could see someone called up from the AHL, and we could see Joshua probably on Thursday rather than Tuesday, is what we have been seeing in the media this week, where it is what is likely as far as when we're going to see him back on the ice. And then as well, the Canucks skated with the same forward lines they practiced with on Sunday. However, after practice, Dakota Joshua was ruled out for Tuesday, like we just said, suggesting suggesting Thursday was more likely a target for a season debut. So we're going to see someone get called up. The question is who. And then for the second straight day, like we said earlier, that Lehkomäki was in a top 6 role with JT Miller and Pius Suter. All indications that the 20-year-old Swede will make his NHL debut against the Flames. I know Mark was talking about this in the last episode, just how excited he is to finally see his boy, his favorite guy on the ice. And then unlike Sunday, the Canucks worked on special teams at the end of Monday's practice. After scoring a late power play goal on Saturday, Pius Suter remained with the top group in Boeser's absence. Lehkomäki took turns on the second unit with Jake DeBrusk, Danton Heinen, and Kiefer Sherwood at the net front. Filip Hronek manned the point in the second unit. Niels Höglander appears to have lost his spot on the power play for the time being. And this is exactly what we wanted to see from Lehkomäki, where we finally get to see him not only playing on the Canucks this season and making his Canucks debut, but also on the power play unit. And that's going to be the jolt that the Canucks need on a power play that, quite frankly, needs something. It needs something to bring some life, especially with the playmakers that we have. And I think Lehkomäki, being a power play merchant in the other leagues, is going to prove exactly that and what we need. I think we might see a goal from him on the power play specifically, and I think that is going to be exactly what we're going to need to see this team get going. I know Mark will definitely agree with me on that. I know he's super excited to see him play, and it's going to be awesome to watch on Tuesday night. But there was something in practice that was worth mentioning, and that was Jake DeBrusk on the near boards getting medical attention, but he appears to be okay as he stayed out for the rest of practice as a full participant. And speaking of injuries, Rick Tocchet did have an update on Brock Boeser, saying, I don't really have an update. I think it's day to day. I really haven't talked to him today, to be honest, because these things are day to day. Some days you feel better. I don't know. And we hope that we can see Brock Boeser back as soon as possible, because he is another element of this power play that we need to get back going. He's one of the playmakers on this team. He's one of our best goal scorers, and he's a guy that can just put the team on their back when they need it. And he is somebody who, if we don't have him in the lineup, it's a very big problem. And it's not something that against the other guys, but when we look at Brock Boeser's performances in the past few seasons, yes, he does not tally the amount of goals or the points that Quinn Hughes, JT Miller, and Elias Pettersson do. However, the goals that he is scoring are in the most clutch moments and when we need the most. It's usually when we have the empty net and we need a goal when it matters. He's the one who gets that. Or when we need to spark a rally, he's the one who starts that off. So having him in there, he's our most clutch player, bar none. It goes without saying. Quinn Hughes, yes, he is fantastic. He is the leader of this team. He's always going to get his points. But when Brock Boeser scores, it means something. Yes, obviously when Vancouver scores, it always means something. But when Brock Boeser scores, you know something good is going to happen going forward, because it's usually when he scores, that's when the floodgates open, because he is that difference maker and that playmaker. But what do you guys think about Boeser? How long do you guys think he will be out? When do you guys think we'll see him back? And how many goals do you guys think Boeser is going to finish with despite this injury? Love to hear what you guys have to say. But one thing we do want to touch on is something that Vancouver needs to fix is with this bottom pairing, and that is Tyler Myers and Carson Soucy. The Canucks have played 13 games this season. Only 4 times have Tyler Myers and Carson Soucy not seen the opposition outshoot the Canucks while they were on the ice. So when you look at our defensive pairings heading into this game, yes, you have Soucy and Myers that are a tandem that you sometimes don't want to break up, but when you look at what they have done this season, you almost need to. Brannstrom, Desharnais, I know they've been playing all right, but maybe you put Brannstrom with Myers, or we know Brannstrom can play on both sides. Maybe you put him with Soucy. Something to get these guys going. We don't want this to be a problem throughout the entire season. Maybe we go out and get somebody at the trade deadline. It seems like that is something that could be very likely if this continues. But again, Brannstrom and Desharnais, they are pretty solid, but I would love to see Brannstrom kind of jump into that second pairing. I think him and Myers would pair pretty well together, or I think maybe Carson Soucy, actually thinking otherwise, because Carson Soucy is a bit more physical. Brannstrom can be a bit physical at times. So if we have a little bit of a physical second pairing, you put Myers down there. I know Desharnais would have to swap sides, so there would be some things to do there. But Brannstrom being that utility belt that can play both sides on defense, it's almost worth trying it out just to see how he does. But again, this is something where we're going to have to monitor it throughout this season to see what the Canucks do as far as roster moves going forward. It is going to be tough to watch as far as Carson Soucy and Tyler Myers, especially when looking at that stat, seeing what has been happening when they're on the ice. Not a lot of great things are happening for them, and a lot of bad things are happening to the Canucks when they are on the ice. So right now, they are considered a liability, and right now they are probably our weakest defensive pairing. So we need something to change it up. But what do you guys think down below? What would you guys do with this defensive core? How would you guys switch it up? What lineup changes would you make? What trades would you go out and make? Is there anybody out there on the trade block you would like to see the Canucks go and get? Love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments. But that's going to take us into our final topic of the day, which is comments of the day. And we see here from Trevor Angus that the power play absolutely needs work. It's unreal how we have such amazing players and the power play is so weak. And hopefully on Tuesday night, we see that return of the power play goals because we have Jonathan Lekkerimaki in the lineup. We know he can make things happen on the power play. So hopefully this is a step towards doing that, especially when he's playing with JT Miller, who is also really strong on the power play. So hopefully this is something that we need and that we eventually get on Tuesday night. But what do you guys think of the Tuesday night matchup against the Calgary Flames? What do you guys think will be the final score? Love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you don't miss our post-game episode when it drops. We're going to be bringing that to you guys when the game ends. Stay tuned for that. But that's going to do it for today's episode. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.